Nena was the epitome of the perfect village girl. With her dark hair flowing and bright eyes sparkling with innocence, she was loved by all. Her days began with the first light of dawn, waking to the melodious chirping of birds and the soft rustle of leaves. The village, nestled in a verdant valley, was alive with the scent of blooming flowers and the distant sounds of laughter from children playing in the fields. In the mornings, Nena helped her mother prepare breakfast, a simple meal of flatbreads and yogurt. After breakfast, she would don her worn but cherished apron, ready to tackle the day's chores. She tended to the family goats, their bleats echoing through the hills as she led them to fresh pastures. The villagers often complimented her gentle touch with the animals, a skill passed down from her grandmother. Afternoons were reserved for weaving. Sitting under the shade of a large banyan tree, Nena would watch her mother create intricate patterns with colorful threads. She marveled at the beauty of their craft and dreamed of one day creating her own designs. Her evenings were filled with laughter and stories shared with friends as they gathered by the fire, the warmth of community enveloping them. Yet beneath the surface, Nena's life was anything but idyllic. Her family struggled under the weight of debt from a failed livestock investment. The drought had devastated their animals, leaving them in a dire financial situation. With her father's health declining and her mother growing increasingly worried, Nena felt the pressure to save her family from losing their home. Desperation gripped her heart, pushing her to consider drastic measures to alleviate their burdens. One evening, after a particularly harrowing day, Nena made a choice that would alter the course of her life. With a mix of fear and determination, she ventured into the nearby city. The bright lights and bustling streets dazzled her, but the undercurrents of danger were palpable. Here, she adopted a new identity. She became known as Mira, a name that sounded foreign and gave her a sense of anonymity. In the city, Mira took on various jobs that straddled the line between legal and illegal. She started by running errands for local shopkeepers, delivering goods throughout the bustling market. But as her desperation grew, so did the risk she was willing to take. She found herself working for a group involved in smuggling rare goods, jewelry, textiles, and sometimes even information. This dangerous side of the city exposed her to a world of crime, where loyalty was fleeting and betrayal lurked around every corner. The turning point came unexpectedly. One night, while delivering a package for her employer, she encountered Emmanuel, a childhood friend who had left the village years ago. Their eyes met, and a rush of memories flooded back, the carefree days spent climbing trees and exploring the hills. But now, Emmanuel is a figure of power in the city, and his presence filled Nena with dread. Emmanuel's gaze pierced through her carefully constructed facade. "Nena, is that you?" he asked, disbelief coloring his tone. Panic surged within her as she tried to mask her fear. She quickly averted her eyes, desperate to avoid his questions. But he was persistent, sensing that something was amiss. Nena felt cornered, trapped between her past and the dangerous life she now led. The following weeks were a whirlwind of emotions. Nena struggled to maintain her double life, but the walls began to close in. Emmanuel continued to appear in the city, often crossing paths with her. Each encounter left her more unsettled. The tension reached a breaking point when, during a particularly risky transaction, Nena was ambushed by those she owed. With fear consuming her, she shouted for help, her heart racing. To her astonishment, Emmanuel emerged from the shadows, fighting off her aggressors with a fierceness she had never witnessed. His presence was both a relief and a reminder of the life she had abandoned. In the chaos, Nena realized how far she had fallen. She was no longer the innocent village girl, she had become someone else entirely. After the confrontation, they found a quiet corner to talk. "You don't have to live like this," Emmanuel urged, concern etched on his face. "Let me help you." In that moment, Nena felt a flicker of hope and the weight of her secrets came crashing down. With tears in her eyes, she confessed everything, the debt, her choices, and the fear that had driven her to the city. Emmanuel listened intently, his expression softening. He understood her desperation and offered a lifeline. Together, they hatched a plan to confront her family's death honestly. Emmanuel introduced Nena to his network of friends and allies who were willing to support her family in their time of need. Slowly, she began to step away from the shadows of the city, re-embracing her roots. As they worked together, Nena found strength in her vulnerability. They organized community gatherings to raise awareness about her family's struggles. The villagers, moved by her bravery and determination, rallied behind her. They contributed what they could, some brought food, while others offered their skills to help the family rebuild. Nena realized that the true strength of her village lay in its unity. Over the following months, Nena poured her heart into revitalizing her family's farm. She learned sustainable practices, creating a cooperative with neighboring farmers to share resources and knowledge. As the crops flourished and livestock were replenished, so did Nena's spirit. The burdens of her past began to lift, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. Through her hard work, Nena not only helped her family but also began to transform the lives of others in the village. She initiated programs for young girls, teaching them about entrepreneurship and self-sufficiency. With each success, she gained confidence and respect, becoming a role model in the community. As Nena and Emmanuel spent more time together, their bond deepened. The connection they had shared as children blossomed into a profound love. Emmanuel admired her resilience and determination, and she found solace in his unwavering support. Together, they envisioned a brighter future, one that included their dreams of building a community where everyone could thrive. But Nena's journey was not without its complications. She sometimes grappled with guilt over her past, haunted by memories of her dangerous nights in the city. Emmanuel, ever understanding, encouraged her to share her struggles. Their conversations became a safe space where Nena could voice her fears and regrets. Slowly, she learned to forgive herself, understanding that her past choices did not define her. As the seasons changed, so did Nena. She began to channel her experiences into her art, creating textiles that told the story of her journey, from darkness to light. Each piece reflected her struggles, hopes, and the beauty of resilience. The villagers admired her work, and soon, her creations became sought after, bringing additional income to her family. Nena also became involved in community development projects, advocating for education and resources for the underprivileged. She found fulfillment in helping others, recognizing that her own redemption was intertwined with the well-being of her village. The lessons she learned during her time in the city fueled her passion for change, and she committed herself to lifting others as she had been lifted. The village began to thrive, and Nena stood at the forefront of its transformation. With Emmanuel by her side, they worked together to implement sustainable farming practices and create educational programs. Their love for each other blossomed as they tackled challenges hand in hand, united by a shared vision for their community. One day, as they stood together on a hill overlooking the fields, Nena realized the depth of her journey. She had faced darkness and emerged into the light, forever changed but firmly rooted in her identity. The duality of her life had ultimately led her to a singular purpose, to uplift others while embracing her own redemption. As the village flourished, Nena found joy in her work, surrounded by the vibrant community she had helped rebuild. She learned that true strength lies in vulnerability and authenticity. The girl who once lived a dangerous double life emerged as a leader, inspiring others to rise above their circumstances. She became a beacon of hope, embodying the spirit of resilience that had defined her journey. Nena's past no longer haunted her, instead, it became a source of strength. She embraced her imperfections and understood that they contributed to the rich tapestry of her life. With each passing day, she found beauty in the scars of her journey, recognizing them as symbols of growth and transformation. In the twilight of her journey, Nena stood hand in hand with Emmanuel, gazing at the stars that illuminated the sky. They spoke of dreams, love, and a future filled with possibilities. The bond they had forged through shared struggles was unbreakable, and their love flourished like the crops they had nurtured together. Nena knew that while the past would always be a part of her, it no longer defined her. She was a survivor, a leader, and a woman of strength. The village had become her canvas, and she painted it with hope, resilience, and love. Nana's journey from the perfect village girl to a woman of strength and resilience taught her invaluable lessons about love, forgiveness, and community. She had faced darkness and emerged into the light, forever changed but firmly rooted in her identity. This was how the story of Nena ended. Thank you for watching. Please click on the subscribe button.